Hey guys, Michael B. the Game Genie here, and today on Video Game Nostalgia we're going to be talking about some really hard NES games. We're talking difficult.
Good luck.
So that's right guys, today on Video Game Nostalgia we're going to be talking about the hardest of the hard games on the NES. Everybody knows the term NES Hard or NES Hard. Well, these are the games that term came from. So I want to be very clear here. We're not talking about games that are difficult because they're broken or they don't work right, so you can't beat them just because the controls and everything's stupid. No. These are games that are good, just really challenging. You know, the kind of game you want to beat, but it's just so hard that you keep coming back for more and it frustrates you to death that you can't get through it. So, I know that everybody has those games that they can't beat, that they think are just way too hard but still enjoy playing. You want to see if it made this video? Let's find out. I mean, did anyone not expect this game to show up on this list? When uttering the term NES Hard, few games are thought of more frequently than Battletoads. When the game was coming out, it got a ton of coverage in Nintendo Power and rode that amphibians with attitude wave from TMNT straight to the bank, and everybody rushed to either rent or buy this one. Then we got it home, and yeah, the first level was pretty cool. Second was a little challenging but beatable. But then we hit the turbo tunnels, and oh my god, the turbo tunnels. I mean, everybody talks about how hard the turbo tunnels are, and yeah, they are. But the game only gets worse from there, if you can get past it. Let's back up for a bit and talk specifically about how difficult this game is, because it gets hard right from the start. But I think we are all so practiced in it, we don't notice the difficulty. First off, the stage itself is literally trying to kill you. It's one of those games where if you don't watch where you are walking, you will walk off an area you didn't think you could, and there goes a life. Next up is the basic enemies. Usually these guys are cannon fodder in a beat 'em up style game like this, and they can be here, except when they are not. Nope, sometimes you won't be quick enough and they will get a hit in. Some will only take a block of life, but some have the ability to wipe you out with one attack. Look at that guy just picking me up and boop, my life is gone. Look at that bird with the long beak. If I don't kill it quick enough, it will bite my grapple line and boop, dead. Finally, let's talk about how diverse this game is, as Stage 1 is a straightforward beat-em-up platforming stage. Stage 2 switches it up to where you are grappling down a chasm and have to fend off the enemies while navigating past the moving electric barriers. Then we get to Stage 3 again, and it's the turbo tunnel. After a short platforming section, you jump on your rocket sled and get ready to have your skills and patience tested. To be fair, this section is actually very beatable. I mean, not by me, but I'm sure by some. I've been able to beat the turbo tunnel on occasion, but not master it to the point where I can get past it every time I play. Like I mentioned earlier, the game only gets harder from here, and there are more creative and challenging stages, and I was really hoping I could show you guys more, but I'm out of practice, and ran out of lives and continues. Oh yeah, did I mention that this game doesn't have unlimited continues? Well, it doesn't, and I may be somewhat better at it if it did, because just about any game with unlimited continues can be beaten. Well, just about. I mean, it's Battletoads. I don't think I have to say much more here. The game is legendary for its difficulty, and most people consider it to be the hardest game on the NES. I don't know if that is true, but I've been playing it since I was a kid, and I am still terrible at it. What do you guys think? Is it the toughest? This game does not mess around. It's NES Hard. It's real NES Hard. I remember renting The Adventures of Bayou Billy after seeing him on an episode of Captain N. I was so excited to try this new game, and when I popped it into my NES and started playing, I died, like immediately, and then kept dying. That was a dark and not so fun rental weekend for young Mike B. The problem is, well, everything. I mean, it's a great looking game with great music. It's just, well, hard. I mean, the signs were all there as soon as you turn on the game and see practice mode. What other NES games have practice mode? Why would you need a practice mode if it wasn't impossibly hard, right? Well, we will come back to practice mode in a bit, but let's talk about the first stage right now because, well, that's the farthest I have ever legitimately gotten. This is not a joke. I have never seen the game past the first stage. Now, to be fair, I don't have as much practice on this one as Battletoads, so maybe I just need to get good, but I mean, it's so weirdly hard, I have never really been inspired to do so. Well, you start the first level, and the first enemy approaches you, and you can either punch him with the B button, or kick him with the A button, or press both to do a jump kick. Which one is best? Well, I have no freaking idea because neither of them seem to do much damage. I'm not sure if it's a weak attack or if the enemies have a ton of health. I have no idea, but I can tell you there's a very real possibility you will die on the very first screen fighting the very first set of enemies. The problem is there is no health bar for the enemies, so you just whack away at them and hope at some point they will die. You can pick up a weapon such as this stick in the first level that seems to do some additional damage, but again, I can't say for sure because no health bar for enemies, and they seem to take at least 40 to 50 hits even with the stick. Then you finally come to the crocodiles, and they also seem to take 1,000,000 hits each. The only difference is where you are submerged in the water, you can only punch them. Is that worse than being able to kick them? I have no idea, but I am usually out of energy if I ever do make it past them. Luckily, sometimes an enemy will drop some food which fully restores your health so you can lose it again in an instant. Man, what a punishing experience. I have to be doing something wrong here, right? So like I mentioned, there is a practice mode, and that's good because it lets you explore the other unique genres this game has to offer. That's right, it's a multi-genre game, as there are also driving stages as well as a first-person shooter stage you can play with a controller or even use the zapper. I say it lets you explore because without the practice mode, it's a tall task to get out of the first stage and experience anything else this game has to offer. I want to like this game, I really do, but I just find it so hard. Am I just playing it wrong? If anyone out there is a master at this, please feel free to reach out and tell me what I'm doing wrong. Of course, we can't have a hard NES games video without including Ghosts and Goblins, right? If there is a hard NES game Mount Rushmore, it sits right next to Battletoads. Well, for anyone who hasn't played it, here is some advice. You are going to need a Nintendo game counselor, an old priest, and a young priest, and even then I can't promise you that will be enough. Well, remember when I said just about any game can be beaten with unlimited continues? This one may be the exception because it is relentless, and even saying that isn't strong enough. So from an outside perspective, it shouldn't seem that hard. It's a side-scrolling action platformer that controls well and allows for multiple hits per life with unlimited continues. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Nope, that couldn't be farther from the truth here. It's just down in the dirt hard. Why is it so hard? Well, there are just so many enemies at all times coming at you from varying angles and with the ability to shoot projectiles as well as damage you purely by touching you. There are no safe spaces, nowhere to hide, and nowhere to run. You just have to dig in and learn the game. You play, you die. You play, you die, and die, and die, and die, and hopefully learn how to progress just a little further every time you die. I will say that your character does have a weird way of moving that you have to really learn before you can excel at this game. This is not Mario, and when you move, you have to be so calculating because if you go up a ladder at the wrong time, you're dead. Jump at the wrong time, you are dead. Yeah, you get where this is going. You die a lot in this game. The other thing is having the correct weapon/projectile at your disposal. There are varying weapons in the game, and really you want to stick with either your lance or get a knife. In this playthrough, a knife didn't appear, but typically I would just keep dying at the beginning of the game until I could get a knife and try to hold on to that like grim death. See that torch right there? We will avoid that like the plague. Sadly, there are times when you are forced to choose between picking up an unwanted item and dying as the item literally blocks your path. So we choose death, of course. Then of course we have the Red Devil here, and he is easily one of the hardest enemies in the game. and we meet him right in the very beginning. There is a trick to beating him where you have to force his movement to come at you in range of your projectile or get lucky enough to hit him enough times before he starts to move. I mean, getting past one is an accomplishment in itself, but later in the game there are stages where you have to fight 4 or 5 consecutively, and boy oh boy, are you ready to break your controller afterwards. I do want to mention, it isn't all punishment, as there are mid-level checkpoints that you will find you are striving to reach, and if you are lucky enough to get to one, you can just continue directly from there. Provided in the title screen you actually scroll down to continue. Don't act too fast, and just be careful doing this, or boy oh boy will you regret it. If you have beaten Ghosts and Goblins, I salute you, as you have conquered one of the hardest games on the system. But of course, you beat it twice, right? 2 playthroughs of pure torture. It's a maddening game, but in the best possible way. Iron sharpens iron, and no game will test your skills quite like this one. So guys, that's my list. I know. Where's Ninja Gaiden? Where's this game? Where's that game? There are so many hard games on the NES that I could have included, but you know the way I do my videos? 3 games per video. So let me know. What games do you think I missed? What are the hardest games on the NES? I really had fun making this video, so I got a feeling that there's going to be a follow-up in short order where I make really hard NES games part 2. So guys, let me know in the comments, what games did I miss and what games should I include on my next video. Anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this today. This is Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'll talk to you next time.